Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2023 Spring Pops. We are the Crystal Lake. Thank you. We are the Crystal Lake Community Band, and we are in our 39th year of performing, not counting the COVID year. We are very thrilled to see all you here tonight, and we're thrilled to be here as well. To open our concert, in the finest tradition of wind band performance, we'll do it with a march. Please welcome to the podium the conductor of the Crystal Lake Community Band, Maestro Terry Grossberg, for Gustav Holst's Moorside March.
Can you hear me? Thank you. Okay. So yes, my name is Terry Grosberg, and I am so proud to be the director of this wonderful ensemble. I promise not to speak too long. I just want to take a minute to recognize and thank some people who make this dynamic organization hum in perfect harmony. Because they handle the logistics like securing venues for rehearsals and concerts, dispersing the music, applying for grants, and monitoring attendance, and so much more, which frees me up to do what I am trained and what I love to do. So first I would like to recognize the conductor emeritus of this band, who has taught many of the musicians you see here today and captained this ship for many years himself, Mr. Don Ahrensberg. Thank you. Secondly, I would like to thank my friend and assistant conductor, Mike Polyak, who you will watch and hear later today. Your conducting and music leadership help make us great. Next, I would like to thank Susan Siderson. Every organization needs an MVP like Sue. She does, well, everything for us, and we quite literally wouldn't be here without her. So thank you, Sue. Having a dedicated and supportive board makes my job so much easier and provides the framework for all of our success. I would like to recognize our CLCB board. Could you please stand up and give a wave? The next group of folks help our band in so many ways, like leading sectionals on Tuesdays we don't have rehearsals, passing out music and making seating assignments, plus taking attendance and holding their sections accountable. Could you please stand up if you are a section leader? Finally, I want to thank my friends and family for coming to my concerts. I know it's a huge schlep for many of you, so I just want you to know that I appreciate you for coming. And in return, if you ever want me to come and watch you work, I would be happy to do that. Okay, let's hear some more music.
Thank you, Terry. Throughout history, music is used as a catalyst to bring about social change and even revolution. In the case of our next selection, the revolution came first. The week-long Stonewall riots, named after a bar, that occurred in 1969 in Greenwich Village, New York, were a pivotal event in LGBTQ liberation. Our musical selection was written in 2019 as a celebration of the bravery of the gay and trans women and in honor of activist Marsha P. Johnson. And I quote, "In defiance of those outside forces that would seek to do harm to the LGBTQ community, simply for daring to exist and take up space." We present Omar Thomas's Mother of a Revolution. Our next selection is a work that you will probably instantly recognize, made famous by the three tenors, especially Luciano Pavarotti. It involves a very famous aria from the 1926 opera Turandot by Giacomo Puccini. The short version of the story involves a cold-hearted princess who requires her suitors to answer 3 questions. And if they can't, they're beheaded. When one finally does, though, because of his kindness, he gives her an out to guess his name by dawn. This aria, the command by the princess is nobody shall sleep until the name is guessed. We now present the Nessun Dorma from the opera Turandot. Oh, and by the way, in the end of the story, the cold-hearted princess eventually warms up to the prince, and then she tells everybody that she guessed his name, and his name is Love. See, we do have happy endings in some of our stories. Not everybody dies, you know. Well, now we're going to do something very different. Composer John Mackay, this is his note in the score notes. And he said it, he wrote it, so. The idea with Foundry was to make a piece that celebrates the fact that percussionists have this ability to make just about anything into an instrument. Snare drums and bass drums are great, but why not write a whole piece featuring non-traditional percussion? Things like salad bowls, and metal bowls, and piles of wood. With many of the parts, though, only the sound was described as what was wanted. In other words, it said, play clang, and then allowed the percussionists to be creative in finding the best instrument to make the sound described. Oh, and in his notes, the composer says thank you to all the required 10 to 12 percussionists for performing his ridiculous requests. We now present a musical work invoking all of the different sounds that may be found in a foundry. Our next selection was written for the American Bandmasters Association convention in 1953, which is pretty much all they said in the score notes. It's simple enough, but it's not enough material. So I searched for more background, and I came across a blog written by a gentleman called Dr. Travis Weller, who is a musicologist, I guess, about the selection. And he's way more eloquent than I am. And he wrote the following about our next piece. There is a more delightful contrast in how this work can be perceived when one considers both halves of this symphonic tone poem. The first half encourages us to slow down and savor the intimate and subtle beauty found in the sound canvas. That was pretty neat. During the second half, the audience and the ensemble finds themselves thrust into a grand procession that closely resembles a parade full of exciting moments. We present composer Vincent Pierichetti's Pageant. Okay, it is on. Well, anyway, time to lighten up a bit with a movie theme. This next work is from a relatively recent animated film set in the perspective of viewing the future, but from the 1960s. Composer Michael Giacchino, I think that's right, also took some of his inspiration from an old James Bond theme on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And if you listen carefully, you can hear it near the end. Well, here you go. Music from The Incredibles.
Thank you. Molly Sudovic on piano. Riley Nicholas on guitar. And Terry Grossberg on trumpet. Not only can he conduct, but he plays a mean trumpet. So that, of course, was Chicago, that toddling town. Thought it would be appropriate to start that off today. That was written in 1922 by Fred Fisher. It was also made famous by Frank Sinatra in the 1957 movie The Joker is Wild. Our arrangement was actually done by Don Rader, who was a famous trumpet player who played with Buddy Rich. And this was actually written for the Buddy Rich Orchestra, which he recorded in 1968. So, Chicago. Today is, believe it or not, International Jazz Day. I was unaware. I found it out later. Don, was it you? Yeah, Don told me, hey, do you know today's International Jazz Day? I'm like, no, it's perfect. So we're going to celebrate International Jazz Day. We're playing some great tunes today. So our next tune we'd like to do is Wave. And this was written by Antonio Carlos Jobim. And it actually is translated from Brazilian, which is Vou te cantar. Pardon my Portuguese is not very good. Which is really, I'm going to tell you. And how they got wave out of that, I don't know. It's going to feature our bass trombonist and the assistant conductor of the Crystal Lake Community Jazz Band, Mike Polyak. And you probably recognize Carlos Jobim because he wrote The Girl from Ipanema, One Note Samba, which must have been difficult. But our arrangement is by John LaBarbera, who was also a trumpet player with Buddy Rich Orchestra. So here's Mike Polyak and Wave. I swear, every time it worked. No, you turned me off, didn't you, Joe? I never get it right. It says right on here, mute. Hold volume down 2 seconds. Got it.
Second trombone player.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Mike Pollak. Isn't that a great sound? Mike plays very, very well. We are having our 50th high school reunion this summer, so I know, I'm old, we're old. So the next tune, is one. Are we back? We're back. So next tune is from the Glenn Miller Songbook. Thought we'd get a little traditional today. In the Mood. It was based on a composition called Tar Paper Stomp by Wiggy McNoney. It was first recorded under the name In the Mood and released by Edgar Hayes in his orchestra in 1938. The Glenn Miller recording from 1939 was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. In 2004, the recording was inducted into the Library of Congress National Recording Registry, which consists of recordings that are culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. So here is In the Mood. tenor sax. Ted Holtz on alto sax. Tom LaRue on trumpet. In the mood. Okay, so the next tune, Where Is the Love, is written by Ralph McDonald and William Salter. And it's a duet that was recorded by Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. It was released in '72 from their album, Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. It peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Top 100 Singles Chart, spent a week at number 1 on Billboard Easy Listening Chart and the R&B chart of August 1972. Billboard ranked it as a number 58 song for 1972. The song won a Grammy Award for Best Pop Performance by a Duo, Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway, or a group with vocals. So now you're asking yourself, Mark, why is a bassoon up here with the jazz band? And that's a very good question. And the answer is, our arrangement is a duet between bassoon, played by Dave DeCamp, and alto flute, played by Karen Kamilek. Now you're asking, very good, yes, absolutely. Now you're asking yourself, Mark, what's an alto flute? An alto flute is the big brother of a standard flute. It's pitched about a fourth below. Karen, can you hold that up in comparison? And it's got a really great sound. So this arrangement was done by Alan Broadbent, who's a famous arranger, composer, and pianist. Alan played with just about everybody. Woody Herman mainly, and did a lot of arrangements. So here is Where Is the Love? Dave DeCamp on bassoon, Karen Camillo on alto flat. Alto flute. Great, this is a great sound. Thank you. And our last song today is a chart that was written by, I remember Pete Chrisley, but I can't remember the other composer's name. Joe Rossiano. And it's a shuffle style chart, which it's like a swing chart, but it has more emphasis on the second and the fourth beat. And Joe Rossiano was a saxophone player. He played with Don Ellis, Ray Charles, Louis Bellson. And Pete Chrisley was best known for playing tenor sax with the Tonight Show Orchestra with Doc Severinsen, with the Johnny Carson show. Pete has played with Chet Baker, Quincy Jones, Louis Bellson, Woody Herman. You've heard his songs if you listen to Steely Dan, FM, No Static at All. He plays the tenor solo. Also on Deacon Blues. If you're into the Singers Unlimited, he plays on Yada and Green Dolphin Street, and actually Unforgettable by Natalie Cole. He's on that, as well as countless recording sessions, a top recording session guy in California. So our arrangement was actually done by Bill Hall, who's one of my dearest and closest friends. And he did this arrangement actually with Pete's permission when Bill lived out in California. Bill studied jazz arranging and composition at Berklee School of Music in Boston. Phenomenal trumpet player, great arranger, and he and I went to school together at Western Illinois University in the 70s. So here is Hookin' It. Radovic on piano. Hooking it. Thank you so much. And we've got to put everything back, and we're taking our break. Thanks.
Thank you, Annette. Well, at the end of our last set with the jazz band, normally I give a commercial for something else, and I didn't get to do it, so you get to hear it now. Before this intermission, our friends at the local Portillo's in US 14 and Crystal Lake are also assisting us in donating a portion of purchases to the band. This coming Monday, that's like tomorrow, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., you can order online for pickup using the fundraiser code Portillo's23, or bring in the flyer that is on the table, or even easier, take a picture of it and show it to them from your phone. The band gets 20% of the proceeds. So stop in for dinner, do a carryout. You deserve it, by the way. Just saying, and the chocolate cake is awesome there, so yeah, there's a reason to go. And the band very much appreciates your help, as well as Portillo's, and we thank them for this opportunity for fundraising. End of commercial. I have to do it, you know how it is. It's in the contract. So welcome back to the third portion of our program. March music was always very popular, and it was especially popular around the turn of the last century. And, it fostered great spirits of nationalism and pride in one's country. Well, about that time, in 1904 to be precise, there was a Norwegian community band director and musician named Johannes Hansen who wrote a very stirring march for his country. He had it played in his community band thinking he'd get a great response. Only 2 people applauded, and they were his friends. He took this march to the capital in Oslo for a more sophisticated audience, thinking he could get, sell it and get it published, and it was rejected. In desperation, he sold it to a publisher for the equivalent of $5, which is sad. But since that time, it's become one of the most popular European marches, combining the opening from the local Valdres Regiment March with folk tunes. Please welcome to the podium the assistant conductor of the Crystal Lake Community Band, Mr. Mike Polyak, for Valdres March. Our next selection was based on a tune that was born at the very time of the American Revolution. First published in a book of tunes and anthems in 1778. The tune was so popular, it was sung in all of the colonies, around campfires, and played by fifers on the march. There were a couple different versions of this, but generally this was the tune that you'll hear is the tune that they played. And they sang things too, and the first verse, I'll just read it just so you get a touch of what they sang, is, "Let the tyrants shake their iron rod, and slavery clank her galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God. New England's God forever reigns." And those were the guys that went out and fought our revolution for us. We bring you a look and a listen through the keyhole of American history with Chester, an overture for band. Well, the Broadway stage has given us musical performances that have excited audiences to spontaneously react with applause that interrupts the show. Or in the old days, they called it a showstopper. Arranger Warren Barker has produced an arrangement of 6 of those songs. I was debating whether to simply tell you what they are or to quiz you and make you guess, and then I'll tell you the answers afterwards. I think a quiz will be more fun. See if you can name the tune and what show it came from. We present Broadway Showstoppers. there? This there. Sorry, never mind. Operator error, obviously, for me. So how did you do? If you remembered them all back at the beginning. First one was Everything's Coming Up Roses from the show Gypsy. Second one was People from Funny Girl. Then A Little Bit of Luck from My Fair Lady. On a Clear Day from both the film and the stage play of the same name. Try to Remember was from the musical The Fantastics, which I never heard of, but apparently it was a pretty big hit back in the 60s. And of course, That's Entertainment from the musical film The Bandwagon. So, we'll move on to another tune here. This one's a little bit different, again. Australian by birth, continental by training, an American by decision, pianist and composer Percy Grainger was by any measurement a worldwide musician. He supported himself with his virtuoso piano playing, and he wrote a whole variety of styles of music, most of which was influenced by folk songs. The work we have programmed today was one of his earlier ideas. He started this work in 1908, and he finally completed it and published it in 1930. In his own words, he wished to voice an Australian upcountry feeling as Stephen Foster had with American countryside feelings in his songs. We present an Australian upcountry tune. So if I may, before our final number, we also like to take the opportunity to recognize those behind-the-scenes volunteers who make this event happen, working to all set it up. Terry alluded to all of them earlier, but they set it all up, take it all down, cart it around, and make it sound. How about a round of applause for our in-house roadies and the hardest working manager in the community band business, Susan Syerson. We also offer a special thank you to our generous sponsors and donors noted in the program. We greatly appreciate their support. We urge you to please patronize our sponsors as well as the local small businesses in your town. We truly thank you all for coming to see us, and we wish you all a safe and fun summer season. Please join us this summer for our free outdoor concerts at the Main Beach at Crystal Lake starting June 3rd at 7 p.m. And we'll also be at other locations in the area, as will our jazz band. We'll be there on the 4th of July too, so come on out. Great fireworks. Check out www.clcd.org for the band's latest information, and check the program for times and places. For our final selection this evening, we leave you with a dance number. But not just any dance number. This is a fandango. Distinctly Spanish, a dance of courtship, a dance of two people who never touch, not even with their hands. The dance itself expresses the passion of the dancers, who often taunt each other by following in each other's footsteps or using gestures. It's a dance of great intensity. We leave you with Fandango.
Thank you.